It ain't even tea time.
It's getting the harder way, Southern T, and I'm back. And today I'm here with some good news. I'm here with some great news. If you're a Clarissa Shields fan like myself, Clarissa Shields, previously she had a fight that was set for July, which had to be postponed. We was told that we would be given another date, and today we have been given the second date, and the fight has been rescheduled to October 27th. Clarissa Shields will be making her return to the MMA-PFL ring on October 27th. Her opponent would be Abigail Montes. Hope I'm not saying her name wrong, but for this video purpose, we're going to call her Abigail Montes. Abigail Montes is 2-0, 1 KO, 1 decision. But don't let the record fool you. Abigail Montes is a very skilled, MMA fighter. She's only had 2 MMA fights, but she's had a plethora of kickboxing fights. She's had a plethora of Muay Thai fights. You know what I mean? She's experienced in the world of MMA. This is her only her second MMA fight, but she has been competing in competitions, her whole life, as opposed to Clarissa Shields, who has been boxing her whole life. So Clarissa Shields is going to be at a grave disadvantage in her second, MMA fight, as she was in her first MMA fight against Brittany Elkin. But the difference between this time and last time, the big difference between this fight and last fight is that this opponent in Abigail Montes is far more skilled than one of Brittany Elkin. Brittany Elkin was an opponent, who was on the back end of her career, who was coming off, a couple losses, who was coming off a layoff. She got back in the ring, to give Clarissa Shields a run. In this fight, Abigail Montes, she has been training, she has been training continuously for years on her kickboxing, her her Muay Thai, her jiu-jitsu, things like that. This is her sport. She's a young woman in this sport. She's only 21 years of age, but she has been doing this. She has been participating and training in this sport since she was a young lady. So she's far from a novice in this sport. She's coming in with a record. She's coming in a record of 2-0, 1 KO, 1 decision. Her last win was over Tracita Plata. Her last win was over Tracita Plata, and her first win was against Claudia Zamora. Her last opponent, Tracita Plata, had over 30 MMA fights. Over 30 Muay Thai fights. So Abigail Montes has a win over an opponent with 30 Muay Thai fights. Clarissa Shields is just getting into MMA. You can say that Clarissa Shields has been in MMA maybe less than a year. I think she said out her own mouth that she had only been in MMA. She had only been in MMA for 7 months, and maybe that was 2 or 3 months ago. So Clarissa Shields has been in the sport of MMA less than a year, and she's going to be going into this fight with Abigail Montes, who's a very polished. She's a young, polished, MMA fighter. She's very dangerous. Now, Montes is a stand-up fighter. Kickboxing is her base, which is good, but don't let that fool you. She's a pretty strong individual. She's a strong woman. She will engage with you. She will engage in the ground game. She will put you down on the ground, and she will get you out of there, on the ground. She's versed in submissions as well. This is a huge step-up fight for Clarissa Shields. First of all, it's a huge. Clarissa Shields fighting Brittany Elkin in her first fight was a big risk, with Brittany Elkin having 12 fights already. People say she was 3-9, but she had 3 more wins and 12 more fights than Clarissa Shields. You know what I mean? So with that being said, Clarissa Shields is now getting in the ring with a woman who is 2-0, and I think this is most definitely going to be Clarissa Shields' biggest task, to her life. Maybe you would say, winning the Olympics is a bigger task, but let's say after that, the Olympics and this fight right here will probably is going to be the biggest task of Clarissa Shields' life. She's going in there with a well-rounded, well-trained, MMA fighter. She's young and up-and-coming star, just like Clarissa Shields herself. But the difference is, while Clarissa is young and up and coming, made her name in boxing, this woman, she's young and up and coming, and she's made her name in the sport that they'll be competing in, when they go into competition. I said all that to say this. I think if Clarissa Shields is able, if what I'm thinking in my head, I had said on my previous 7T, okay, we got the grappling out the way, we got the hard part out the way, we seen you on your back, we seen you in the guard, in the full guard, you got through. We got through that. You gave everybody a heart attack. You pulled through, right? That's what I said. I said I hope her next fight we put her in the ring with somebody that wants to stand up, somebody who's willing to trade with her, and a striker. And you know what? I think this is what this is, and this is great for many reasons. This is also for a PFL championship belt. You know what I mean? For a real title. So Clarissa Shields has a chance to be a boxing champ, and an MMA champ, and only her second fight. You know what I mean? So let's give kudos to her. And she's going up against a woman like Abigail Montes, who's a veteran in this thing. She was a young veteran in this thing. She's been groomed to do this. You know what I mean? She's been groomed in this sport her whole life. So for her to go in there and fight this lady, her second fight, and she is a kickboxer base, which is what I was getting at. So maybe I got maybe my prayers will answer. So maybe we'll get a chance to see more of Clarissa Shields stand up in the MMA game. But something in the back of my mind tells me, MMA is funny because if it's two fighters with a ground game and stand-up game, they'll stand up and they'll trade. Even if it's two wrestlers with, if it's two wrestlers with a great ground game, in MMA, most times those fights end up staying on the feet because both fighters, respect the ground game. So they battle it out because nobody wants to take the risk of getting up under, a superior wrestler just like they are. So I think even though that this woman, Abigail Montes, I hope I'm not saying her name wrong, Montes, even though Abigail Montes is a base kickboxer, I've seen her wrestling. She can do it. She can get you down to the ground. She will. She had the TKO stoppage, which most of her damage was done, on the ground. I think, in this situation, she doesn't respect Clarissa Shields' ground game, so I think she's going to come out and off the bat, she's going to try to take her down because she understands that they both are good strikers. Clarissa Shields may have an edge in striking, right? At least with the hands, she has an edge in the hands. Abigail Montes utilizes leg kicks well, so she may have the advantage with the feet. But Montes may come out there and feel like I don't even want to chance it. Like most fighters, who if you're going up against somebody whose strength is your strength, a lot of times, you guys do the other thing. But I don't think that Montes would want to chance it with Clarissa Shields, with her being such a great boxer, probably the best women's boxer ever, with her being so good with the hands. I'm thinking Montes, even though she's a striker herself, is going to come out here and she's going to try to get Clarissa Shields to the ground, and that's what I'm most worried about. I seen Abigail Montes, finish her TKO stoppage. She finished the girl on the feet, but she did a lot of damage on the ground. When she got in full guard, she did a lot of damage. She had vicious elbows. She was throwing hooks, straights, and everything. She had she's a real versatile MMA fighter. She got a real good mix of everything. So I saw her in Clarissa Shields' first MMA fight, even though I feel like she did it to herself. She got Brittany Elkin down, and then she overshot, her ground game, and that allowed Brittany Elkin to get in top position. So if she could take that out, maybe she avoids getting in full mount at all. But in Clarissa Shields' first MMA fight, she was in full mount and full guard, way too much. I wasn't comfortable with how much she was in full guard and full mount. It had mostly full mount. To get in full mount MMA, that's the worst position that you could be in. Clarissa Shields was there way too much for me in the first fight. And going into this fight with Abigail Montes, Clarissa Shields cannot afford to get in the full mount position against this lady, even a little bit. I mean, at all. This lady is dangerous. She's dangerous on the feet. She's dangerous on the ground. Even if she decides to stand up and strike with Clarissa Shields, I'm telling y'all, it's going to be a hell of a fight because this lady has high kicks, she has low kicks, she has leg kicks. She's a well-rounded MMA fighter. She's been training for this her whole life. Don't let the 2-0 record fool you. She's 2-0 professionally as an MMA fighter, but she's been fighting in competitions and MMA events and kickboxing and Muay Thai events like that all her life. This lady has had probably over 50 fights, 100 fights her whole life just herself. And maybe I'm shorting her because she's been doing this literally since she was a kid. I mean, like just as a teenager adult. Maybe she's had over 50 or 100 fights, all together, Muay Thai, kickboxing tournaments, and everything together. This lady is not anything, This lady is not the first lady that Clarissa Shields fought, even though the first lady was a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. But the first lady was coming out, losses in the layout. This lady is in her prime. I did not say she's in her prime. She's still a growing, developing fighter, just like Clarissa Shields. But she's been doing this for so long. She's skilled like a prime fighter already. She can still get better, but she is excellent at what she does right now. This is a very dangerous fight for Clarissa Shields. And as I stated again, this fight is for the PFL world title. So Clarissa Shields has a chance to do something really, really great right now. She has a chance to do something really, really great and be a champion in boxing and also be a champion in the MMA world. No, it's not a UFC title, but the PFL is an upstart league. It's a new league, but they have some serious names in this league. This league is one of the better divisions, even though this league is one of the better, leagues, not the UFC, even though it's one of the newer leagues that's not the UFC. It's one of the better it's one of the better leagues that's not the UFC. It's well funded. It's one of the more better funded leagues, outside of the UFC. I think this league is here. I think this league is set to be here for a long time. And I think this league has two new stars in Clarissa Shields and Abigail Montes, who I think that they're putting together in the perfect fight on a perfect day. Every fight on this fight card, October 27th, will be a championship fight. It will be $1 million fight. This whole card that is on, this whole card that this fight is on will be, for belts, will be for big money. So this is an excellent opportunity for Clarissa Shields. I love the fact that Clarissa Shields is doing MMA. I love the fact that the MMA world is supporting her. I love the fact that since the PFL being on ESPN puts Clarissa Shields, on TV more. We see her name more. She's in highlights more, and I love it. But the whole purpose of this video was to tell you that October 27th, Clarissa Shields will be fighting against Abigail Montes for the PFL World Championship. And I'm ecstatic and I'm really excited about this fight, y'all. But that's all I got. It's getting the harder way, Southern T. This ain't the past, this ain't the future, but this the present. That's how we rocking. And I'm out. Love.